In this section, we will discuss nth roots and rational exponents. We've talked a lot about square roots. Square roots, we usually just use the radical symbol, but if we write it the formal way, it would have a little number here, which in the case of a square root would be a 2, and that number is called the index. And with an index, that allows us to do other roots, like cubed roots, fourth roots, fifth roots, and so on. So let's talk about how other roots work. First of all, referring back to our square roots. Roots are the opposite of powers, or the inverse of powers. They undo powers. So if 6 squared is 36, then the square root of 36 is 6. Likewise, if 3 to the 4th is 81, then the fourth root of 81 is 3. So if you were asked to do the problem, the fourth root of 81, you're saying to yourself, what number, when raised to the fourth power, would give me 81? And that is 3. Another example, if 2 cubed is 8, then the cubed root of 8 is 2. Now something a little bit different about odd roots, such as cubed roots, it says if negative 2 cubed is negative 8, then the cubed root of negative 8 is negative 2. Now when we were working with square roots, we said that you can't do the square root of a negative number. That is because when you square a negative number, you get a positive. But if you take a negative number to an odd power, you can get a negative. So we cannot do even roots of negatives, like square roots, fourth roots, and so on. But you can do an odd root of a negative number, like cubed root, fifth root, and so on. So let's just take a look at some examples. So we have the fourth root of 16. So you're asking yourself, what number to the fourth power equals 16? Okay, hopefully you figured out that it is 2. 2 to the fourth power is 16. If you're not sure, these are a little bit awkward at first because we're not used to doing these kind of roots. Just try a number and see if it works until you find the one that does. Try letter B, cubed root of negative 27. So you're saying what number to the third power would give us negative 27? And again, if you just try some numbers, you're saying is 2 to the third 27? No, it's 8. Is 3 to the third 27? Yes. But because it's a negative 27, it has to be negative 3. You'll start knowing some of these common roots eventually. Now, in example C and D, we have two things going on. We have a root and we have a power. Technically, the order you do them in does not matter, but I would always recommend you do the root first because that will get you a smaller number. If you do the power first, you're going to have a really large number to deal with. So I start by doing the cubed root of 125. So what number to the third power is 125? Should be 5. And then we square it. For an answer of 25. Pause your video and give D a shot. Okay, we start with the fifth root of negative 32, which is negative 2. We want to take that to the fourth power. Now, to write it in its mathematically correct form, you have to put the negative 2 in parentheses. I'm sure some of you got the correct answer without doing that, but really for this step to be written in mathematically correct form, the parentheses need to be there because we now want to raise negative 2 to the fourth power. Without the parentheses, only the 2 would be to the power, not the negative sign. Since this power is even, we know we're going to get a positive result, and it'd be positive 16. So that's dealing with roots. Now, the other thing we talked about in the title was rational exponents. The word rational starts with the word ratio, and I know I've discussed this with you before. A ratio is a fraction. So a rational exponent is an exponent that is a fraction. Now, we'll start with a simplified form with a 1 in the numerator of the fraction. The number in the denominator is a root. So if I have a to the 1 over n power, that's the same thing as the nth root of a. So looking at the first example, 49 to the 1/2, that just means take the square root of 49. And the square root of 49 is 7. Try the next two. Pause your video and then come back and see how you did. Okay, letter F, 16 to the 1/4 is the 4th root of 16. And the 4th root of 16 is 2, because 2 to the 4th power is 16. And the last one, cubed root of -8. That should be -2. Moving on. Sometimes the numerator is not a 1. So if you look, let's look at this example for 16 to the 3/2. You'll see it has a denominator of 2 and a numerator of 3. The denominator is a root, just like in the last examples. The numerator is a power. So let's label that up here in our rule. Denominator is a root. Numerator is a power. And what this stuff over here is saying is that you can do them in either order, although I would strongly recommend this one. Do the root first, then the power. It'll keep things much simpler to do with mental math, since we would be doing these without a calculator. So if I look at letter H, I'm going to start by taking the root. So since my denominator is a 2, I'm going to do the square root of 16. Square root of 16 is 4. And then I take that to the 3rd power, which comes from this numerator. And 4 to the 3rd is 64. Pause your video and try the next one. Okay, we start by doing the cubed root of 64. The cubed root of 64 is 4. And now we'll take care of this power, 2nd power, 4 squared, and that's 16. Let's take a look at letter H. Similar, except now we have a negative rational exponent. I'm going to think of the negative as being with the numerator, with the power, because we don't really deal with negative roots. So we'll start by just taking the cubed root of 8. The cubed root of 8 is 2. So I need to take 2 to the -4th. Remember, negative exponents have nothing to do with the sign. 2 to the 4th would be 16. The negative tells us to take the reciprocal, so this is 1/16. Pause your video and try letter I. So we start with the 5th root of 32, which is 2. And 2 to the -3rd, 2 to the 3rd is 8. So this is 1/8. Let's take a look at using rational exponents in a calculator. Most calculators, if I have a problem like this, the 4th root of 100, most calculators do not have a direct way to do that problem. The graphing calculators do have a way in one of its menus, but it's more tedious than just knowing how to convert it to a rational exponent. So the 4th root of 100 is 100 to the 1/4 power. So how we're going to put that in, 100 caret, and then in parentheses we put the fraction, 1 divided by 4. So I have 100 caret, and yours will look a little different than mine here, but you need to put that exponent in parentheses. My caret didn't show up. 100 caret one divided by 4. There we go. So it's about 3.16. Try the next two. Pause your video. Okay, letter K you should have put in. Technically, this negative 7,776 should be in parentheses. In this problem, it would not have made a difference in your answer. Should come out negative 6. And the last one, should be about 0.22. You don't need to do anything special with it being negative, just type it right in. Just be sure that you used a negative sign here and not a minus sign, or you will get an error message.